So Vin, don't worry. Your hair looks good as always. Don't worry. People know. Everyone's paying attention. Don't worry.
His hair is mint. That's what we would call it.
No, so I told you I have like a little bald spot. I have to grow it out. So this is all I got. I got hair. That's it. Sean, you have hair. It falls off because you keep wearing that hat.
It's below the neck is where it is.
It's all down here.
Do you shave purposely, Sean, or it just happened to?
No, I've got nothing. I shave it, but it's nothing. It's nothing.
Do you feel inadequate when you have your hat off?
You shouldn't.
Wow.
I got to tell you, I got a friend, and he shaved his head, and he said the ladies pay a lot more attention to him now. A lot of ladies are into the bald look.
I don't think I do, because I don't have eyebrows.
I don't think I could pull it off either. I don't think I have the right shaped head. I mean, my hair's pretty short right now. I don't think I could pull off the full bald look, though.
I would look just like a head because I have no hair here. If I had no hair here, I would. And I don't have these big ears. Pull them back.
And your eyebrows are thin too, Vin. So that'll make it even worse.
See, you're getting old. You didn't listen. You can't hear. Just that I have no eyebrows.
You have none or just little?
Very, very little. There's nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, nothing.
So Vin, we're live here. Let's introduce our guest.
Eric Schwartz, the man, the myth, the legend.
Hey, guys.
We go back a long way. We didn't know each other, but we met in 1991 at the Richmond County Bodybuilding Championships in Staten Island, right?
That is accurate.
Were we both competing?
Yes. So there was only one reason I competed in that show. I had heard that my favorite bodybuilder at the time was going to be in town guest posing. And that was the one and only greatest Mr. Olympia of all time, in my opinion, Lee Haney. Right. And I said to myself, I was competing back then, but, not really serious. But I said, you know what? I really want to meet Lee. And I bet if I compete, I'll guarantee to meet him backstage because he's going to guest pose. And it worked out. And I certainly did. So I was backstage at one point, and there's this guy there flexing back there. And I think he's another guest poser because he's so far ahead of everybody. And it turned out to be Vinny. He was competing that day. But I'm like, this guy must be another guest poser.
I actually took second in that, didn't I?
Get out. I thought you won it. I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
There was really, really good, genetically gifted guy, black guy from Staten Island, from New York City. I think he beat me. And that was a turning point. I remember that was kind of a turning point for me because he was in such good condition. And I was always coming in good condition, like decent condition. Right. And his conditioning was way better. And so that was like that one of those contests where like, oh, how do I do that? Yeah, he came in. And then years later, if you remember, we were driving to was that gym in Connecticut, Montanari Brothers.
Yeah, yes.
We were driving there, and that we put the connection together because you were just interviewing with Universal.
Okay, yes, that was before I worked
interviewing with Universal, and I was like, actually, we met back in '91, and you were telling the story, and that was pretty cool to like, we kind of like met years later, and we had. How many years did you work for Universal?
11.
11. Yeah, I was there 18 years, so we had a good run. We had some crazy people at the cage.
Yes,
those years,
went on a lot of trips. We did a Vinny hair segment on a trip.
I gotta get the link off YouTube and post that. I think that would be very entertaining for a lot of people.
I think you should. For the audience, we did a whole road trip series on the Universal USA YouTube channel. We traveled the world, went all over the place. But we did the particular trip when we did your hair segment. That was like the first trip, and that was more like we were testing the concept. We went to California.
Yeah, because they gave us that little video camera.
Tiny little, I forgot what the hell the name of it was.
We didn't have smartphones at the time.
That's right.
And I don't know if you remember me saying, I'm not really sure about video in these workouts. What if somebody gets hurt? And I was all nervous. And nobody ever videoed anything at that time.
You're right.
And we said, let's go to the gym and do cardio. It was like 5:00 in the morning, something like that. I don't think it was later. It was really early. Mm-hmm. And you were like, what are you doing?
I think I came to your room and you were still getting ready. I'm like, what's taking you so long?
I said, I got to do my hair.
And then we did Vinny's hair routine. He's got a whole routine,
And we were winging that. That was not.
Yeah.
So
Well, none of it was really scripted. We had certain stops. Knew we wanted to go to certain gyms and certain restaurants, but none of it was really scripted. And that was kind of the idea. And you know, it was funny. Everybody films nowadays at a gym, right? They have a tripod and it's like perfectly acceptable. Back then, I had to call the gyms and ask, is it okay? I'm with Universal. Is it okay if we film when we come to your gym?
Yeah. And when we did film, it was kind of like we were doing it. Is anybody watching us?
Yeah, it was weird. It was like
it was really weird.
Standing out. Nowadays, people are just filming like crazy.
So did you always have an interest in nutrition? Like what led you into bodybuilding in this arena and working with Universal and your background?
Well, bodybuilding in general, I was a super skinny kid. And I just hated being skinny. So that's what got me into working out. And then I just kind of fell into it. And then I became, I was a consumer of supplements. I really just, I don't know, I guess I was a sucker for all the ads or whatever, but I really got into it and I started reading it and seeing what you could do, you know, with your body nutritionally, exercise and stuff. And I happened to one day drive by Universal headquarters. I was working for another company. That's nothing in the industry. And I was like, holy cow. I didn't realize they were so close to where I lived. And I just shot them an email just out of the blue. I was like, hey, I applied for a sales job. I would love to work for you guys. I'm a consumer of your products. And the owner of the company picked up my email and he wrote back to me and he said, look, we don't have any positions right now, but if you're in the neighborhood again, stop in and we'll talk. So a couple of weeks later, I emailed him, told him I'm going to be in the neighborhood, and he brings me in and we had kind of like an interview, but they still didn't have a position available. So I kind of stayed in touch with him. Every few months, I'd write him an email. I'd try one of the products. I'd give him a little critique. I became friendly with Greg G. Diesel over there. And then he proposed to me one day. We were on the bodybuilding.com forums. This is long before social media.
Oh, wow. Now you're really going back.
Yeah. And I was on there a lot. And I was actually defending Universal. Universal, a lot of the kids on there were giving Universal shit for their products. And I was like defending them. And Greg contacted me and he says, hey, do you want to be like a board rep? So basically like an influencer today, except I was on the bodybuilding.com forums. I wasn't getting paid. They would send me some free products every once in a while. That was it. But I was just doing it because I liked it. And it was like almost 2 to 3 years later that they shot me an email and said, hey, we have a position open. Somebody left. Because it was a family-run company. It was, you know, it's a big company, but there wasn't a lot of employees. But a spot opened up, and they were like, "You still interested?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!"
And that's when Alex too, right?
Al was there. Yep.
Alex, yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe, were you a part of one of the very first animal cages?
No. So the cage, I believe, the first one might have been 2004. My first one was 2007. I wasn't working for the company yet, but they invited me. I was still the board rep. And they invited me there to work the cage. And in 2008 I was there as a full-time employee at the cage. Now,
do you remember our conversation? Well, he doesn't work there any longer, so I'm going to mention his name. Phil didn't want me a part of the company anymore. And we were just starting to do I was being the MC.
Yes.
And I want to say it was you. You came over to me and you said, so I think a guy was doing it and he didn't do very well and they didn't want him to come back in the afternoon. And I said I could do it. And I believe you came over to me and said, Phil wants you to fail. So he's going to have a good reason for you to fire you, get rid of you at the end of your contract. And I took that as a challenge and I just, had fun with it. I used my Jersey accent. I, enhanced it. And any guy or woman that had a vowel at the end of their name, I made them, feel like they were from New York and just rallied everybody in for the push, put the bench your body weight. And how do we do it? Guys bench your body weight, girls bench
half their body weight.
Yeah. And that was it. That's how I started with being the and then they nicknamed me the Voice.
Yeah, you did a great job, man.
Vinny the Lip.
Yeah,
hated that.
We had some pretty big names come in and do the bench your body weight before they were popular. Like Dana Lynn Bailey used to come in there all the time, and people didn't really know who she was at the time.
No, and also what's his name? Joey Swalls would come in.
Yeah.
Before he was Joey Swalls.
Yeah.
And now he's got like 1 million followers, 2 million followers.
Yeah.
And we had some good times.
One year we did a charity event versus Gaspari Nutrition, and we raised money. We had like, lifting competitions, and we raised some money for charity and stuff.
I think I was gone after that by that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. So you leave Universal, and I know you were kind of like floating around a little bit, trying to find a job and doing all this stuff. And how did you, and I know you've always been taking in dogs, and you know that, and we've always talked, because I've had dogs my whole life.
Yeah.
And I don't have one currently. My last dog was Lola. Actually, Savannah was my last dog. I rescued her. And I always tell people, don't buy a puppy, get a rescue. I'm a big proponent of that. And now you're starting Poor Nutrition, and just walk us through how did you transition into this?
Always had a passion, always loved dogs and had a passion. We have 4 dogs now. Prior to this, we had a pack of 3 dogs, different dogs. They're no longer with us, unfortunately, anymore. But my wife, Christine, is very much into rescue dogs. And I honestly didn't understand what rescues did. I didn't understand the difference between a rescue and a shelter. And she was volunteering at a rescue in Staten Island. And she took me there a few times. And I couldn't believe the amount of work that goes into it, the amount of resources that they need, and how many dogs are sitting in these cages that need homes. Mm-hmm. So it's something that we're extremely passionate about. And that's how we wound up with 3 of our 4 are rescues. And we'd love to rescue them all. And we can't, obviously. We don't have the space. We just, we can't do it. So I was talking to Christine, and one day, I did, I left Universal, went to another company, and at one point I was unemployed, and I wanted to control my own destiny. I wanted to do a business. I had this knowledge, this marketing and branding knowledge. We had an idea. We wanted to do something where we could give back to rescues. And I thought about something unique that we could do. A lot of people said to me, "Oh, you should just do bodybuilding supplements. That's what you know." And yeah, I know that industry, but it's extremely saturated.
Right.
How am I going to stand out and be different? And I thought about that with the pet products too. There is a lot of saturation there too, but not in the particular category that I'm in. And originally, I just wanted to do dog supplements, right? I didn't want the peanut butter wasn't even on my radar. Okay. But it was taking a long time to get a dog supplement company going. At the time, this was during COVID, so there were supply issues with ingredients and stuff. And all these manufacturers wanted these huge minimums, and we had no money. I was actually laid off at the time and didn't have money coming in, so I wasn't going to go spending a lot of money. And your prior guest on the show, Scott Applebaum, who was a great friend of mine, actually made a connection. He had a training client, and he said his client makes peanut butter for dogs. He's like, "You should talk to him." And I said, "I'm not really interested in peanut butter for dogs." I said, "I want to do supplements." He goes, "Why don't you just have a conversation with the guy and see where it goes?" And I did. He introduced me, and we talked about, can we put supplements in the peanut butter? And I'm like, that's unique. He was already doing it. So he has his own brand, my manufacturer. But to me, that was a unique value proposition. Not many people were doing it. There were maybe 3 or 4 brands of peanut butter. Now there's more. But putting the supplements in the peanut butter was something I thought was a very unique value proposition where we could stand out in the marketplace. It's a convenient delivery system. Dogs love peanut butter. You don't have to give an extra pill or powder. It's super easy. And it's fun. It's a fun treat to give too. So the cool thing was that manufacturer took a chance on me, and he gave me a very low minimum to start. And I said, all right, let's start it, see what happens. We sold the first batch. We used that money to buy the second batch. We sold the second batch. We used that money to buy the third batch, and so on and so forth. And we're bootstrapping the whole thing. We don't have any investors. It's a tough road to do, and it's a slower growth rate because we don't have extra resources to do it. Me and Christine are both still working full-time jobs. I did get a full-time job with another company, not in the supplement industry. But we're hustling. We're hustling to do it. She's got a full-time job, plus she's a dog trainer, plus she helps with Paw Power. So we're hustling to make this thing work. But we love it. It's a passion.
So a question, do you have different ingredients in different peanut butters?
Yes.
Or one line? Explain to me.
I have 4 varieties. We have a plain one, so if you just want one that's just plain, just peanuts, we add a tiny amount of honey to the entire batch as a natural preservative, and it also helps thicken it up when you put it in the refrigerator. So that's the base of all of them. Unsalted, non-GMO peanuts. That's our base because dogs get a lot of sodium. I'm actually in the process of getting certified as a canine nutritionist. So I'm studying all this stuff online. So that's the base. Then we have one that has added pumpkin and cinnamon. Pumpkin is extremely popular for dogs. It helps with constipation and diarrhea. So a lot of digestive issues it clears up. And it has vitamins and minerals too. Then I have one that has a fully dosed hip and joint supplement in the peanut butter. Glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM, and turmeric. And then I have one more that has pre and probiotics and blueberries in it. And then we did launch 2 standalone supplements as well. Food toppers. One is a liquid fish oil. And the other one is a powdered food topper that you add to your dog's food that's made up of mushroom extracts. And there's a lot of cool research on mushroom extracts and dogs and humans that it helps with your immune system. And there's a couple of studies where it actually helps with certain types of cancer with dogs. So it can really help with longevity and stuff.
Now, do you add this as an additive to food or?
Yep. Those 2 are food toppers, right? So those, every day when we feed our dogs get fed. And there's a lot of controversy about dog feeding with raw and kibble, and it's a crazy thing on social media. We do use kibble as a base, but I will add in our 2 food toppers, and then I will also rotate in different fresh foods. Some days it might be an egg. One day it might be blueberries. Another day it might be carrots. So I do believe that fresh food is best, but a lot of people can't afford it. And, you know, me and Christine, we're average dog parents. Like, that's what we love about this business. We understand our consumer because we are the consumer. We're average dog parents that just want the best for our dogs.
So, Eric, you've shared with me, because we've been friends for years now. Explain quickly to people that are listening, what's the one ingredient that people should look out for that are giving human-grade peanut butter that is not in yours? It's
xylitol, okay? And it's not in a lot of peanut butters. You actually find it mostly in the fitness peanut butters. One I know off the top of my head is Nuts and More has it. The scary thing about xylitol is it's actually natural. And it can be listed on the ingredient label as birch sugar. So it may not even say xylitol. It's perfectly fine for humans, but it's toxic for dogs. Your dog could die from the right dose of xylitol. It's also in gum and toothpaste, so keep those out of your way of your dogs.
Interesting.
Yeah. I can tell you, I use, not to turn this into an infomercial podcast, but obviously I use the fish oil, 3 pumps on the dog food. Awesome. And then with the peanut butter, I put it in a Kong, put in some treats and whatnot, and kind of just close the Kong, throw it in the freezer, and then give it to my dog an hour later, and she has the time of her life.
And that's good for mental enrichment. You could do a Kong, a slow feeder, or we sell a lick mat that you could put it on. And that, it helps a dog's mental enrichment. It's a little challenging for them, keeps them engaged. Licking is very soothing for dogs, especially dogs with anxiety. If you ever see a dog that's constantly licking you or licks the couch, that's anxiety. We have one dog that's like that, like crazy. She just licks like crazy. She has really high anxiety.
Interesting.
Now, when we were at Skivas that time, and we were training legs, it was Paco. You said that Pablo, and you were like, "I'll get him off you." I'm like, "No." Yeah, I'm trying to do leg press, and Pablo's climbing on top of me, licking me.
He's a rescue from Puerto Rico, from the hurricanes about 5 years ago. A rescue in Staten Island went down to Puerto Rico, brought his mother back and the whole litter, and we took him home.
That's awesome.
It's crazy, man. I'm sorry. Puerto Rico, the island has hundreds of thousands of homeless dogs just running around the islands. They don't have shelters there. They don't have rescues. And there's a lot of rescues from here that go down there and get them. There's another rescue in New Jersey just called Save the Satos, and that's all they do is get dogs from Puerto Rico.
That's awesome, because I'm a dog lover, and I've had a dog. Cupcake was my first dog. I was, I think, 3 years old or 4 years old. Yeah. So I've never not known, I've always had dogs, and I just never got or understood anyone who doesn't understand dogs. It's like if you're not into dogs, I'm most likely not into you.
You don't have to be a dog owner, but I'm always suspicious of people if I take my dog somewhere and they don't even acknowledge the dog. I'm like, something's wrong with that person.
Yep. I mean, where I live,
I see a strange dog, I smile,
Yeah, I go outside my complex. Everybody who has a dog, they all know me. I'm always squatting down, playing with them. Oh, they're gonna jump all over you. I don't care. I love it. They bring you so much joy. They're always happy to see you. I could go out of the house for 5 minutes, come back, and it's like I was gone a week, and they're so happy to see you. my wife's cousin Andrea is one of your customers. She's
Yeah.
down in Florida.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what's the next step with Poor Nutrition? Like anything else on the horizon?
So we're probably this year. I don't think we're going to launch much in the way of new products. We have to get our business right. We haven't taken a dime from the business in 2 years.
Mhm.
We've reinvested it. So we want to work on like the financials and getting more profitable. You know, the first year and two, we're trying to build the business, build the brand, the reputation, acquire customers and stuff. And now it's going to be more, you know, getting our stuff in line and just getting more awareness. It's crazy. Like we have a really high conversion rate on our website. When somebody gets there, it's super high. Like I work for these other supplement companies, so I know what the conversion rates were, and mine's very high. But our problem is we got to get more traffic to the website. We don't have like a big budget for advertising. We do a small amount of Facebook ads and Google ads, and we convert them and stuff. It's cool. So that's our big thing. Just getting more brand awareness, people to know about us.
You know, in our world with powerlifting and bodybuilding, you would think like you would do really well maybe getting a table at the Arnold. Have you ever thought of that?
Yes. Unfortunately, this year I can't because we do a very big Pet Expo in New Jersey and happens to be the same weekend of the Arnold, which is kind of a bummer because Animal is bringing the cage back to the Arnold. They actually asked me to come to help out, and I can't go because I got this Pet Expo. So, yeah, I think I've done some powerlifting events. I've done a few bodybuilding tables, and I've done very well at them. So I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everybody who lifts has dogs. I'm in a few supplement stores and it sells pretty well. It's crazy. I'm in a few pet stores, not a lot. I'm in maybe 15 mom and pop pet stores. That's you asked what's next for Paw Power. That's probably the next thing to help us grow is to get into some pet stores. I really haven't hit the pavement hard with that. So we'll do that. But the guy who sells the most of my product, it's crazy, is Christian Coronado at Coronado's Clean Cuisine. You know, he does meal prep.
Yeah.
I put my stuff in his place, and he sells a ton of it, way more than any pet store I'm in.
That's awesome. Yeah, because you got a lot of people who train have a dog.
Yep.
It's kind of funny how that goes hand in hand. People who take care of themselves, I think it's natural to take care of a dog.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I would consider the Arnold or the Olympia. The boots are really expensive, but I would certainly consider. I was looking at the prices at the Arnold. Yeah,
That's cool.
Eric, we have a listener asking if you can comment. How does yours differ from Jay Cutler's pet butter?
So our ingredients are. We have. I can only compare one because he has one that has glucosamine in it. So the other formulas are not the same. But the one with he's got one with glucosamine. We have glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM, and turmeric. So we have 4 hip and joint ingredients. He's got one.
Okay.
His other flavors, they're not really comparable. I don't think he has a pumpkin one. He's got one with banana chips, I know. I don't know his ingredients all off the top of my head.
Okay.
Interesting. So you might have said it before, but just remind me here. You said you have pumpkin flavor.
Yep. Which is our bestseller on our website.
And you have cinnamon.
The pumpkin has cinnamon in it.
Pumpkin has cinnamon in it. Okay.
Yes, that one has cinnamon.
What other flavors are there again?
Blueberry with probiotics. And then our one with the hip and joints, we call it berry flexible. It has cranberry in it. Cranberry is very good for the dog's urinary tract.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
It's all made in the USA. This is very unique. That's not unique. That's made in the USA. The unique thing is, though, every single ingredient, including the supplemental ingredients, are USA sourced, which is if you guys know the supplement industry, that's a rare thing.
So my thing is bulldogs. So I've had a couple of bulldogs now.
My favorite, bro.
Yeah, they're so awesome. And bulldogs are known to have a lot of skin issues.
Yes.
And a lot of eye issues and stuff. So what product your peanut butter product would you recommend for that?
That would be the probiotic. Probiotics can help. It depends on what's causing the skin issue, but it can help with allergies. It can help with skin issues. Not sure about the eye issue. And the other thing, fish oil can help as well with skin and coat issues.
That's cool. So do you miss the bodybuilding end of supplements?
Yeah, tremendously.
Are you? Yeah. Okay.
I stay in touch with everybody, and yeah, sure, I miss it. I love it.
I think you would do really well at the Arnold. Too bad the New Jersey Expo is the same day. But
Yeah, it's crazy. The past 2 years, it's been in January, and this year they decided to move it to the first week of March.
And where is it going to be?
It's in Edison, at the Edison Convention Center.
Okay, and what's the dates?
March 1st through the 3rd. It's the exact same. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the Arnold.
All right, cool.
Just want to go back. Speaking of bulldogs, you remember Miss Olympia, my bulldog, right?
Yep.
She was my favorite. You're not supposed to have a favorite child, but she was mine. A lot of people got to meet her. I used to take her to the gym with me. She was great with people, but vicious with other dogs. But it's her paw, her actual paw, and our logo.
Oh, really?
So I was never gonna. Let's see if I can get this on camera. I was never gonna get a tattoo.
Nice.
These were 2 dogs that passed away. This is Olympia, and this was Athena. She was a French Mastiff. We had them at the same time. And I swore I was never going to get a tattoo, but when they passed away, Athena actually passed away while I was at the Arnold in March of 2019. That I used to fly into the Arnold early. She was sick for a while. We knew she had cancer, so it wasn't like a shock. But I flew into the Arnold early, and it was that Thursday, I think. I'm setting up at the Arnold, and my wife calls me on video, and she never videos me. And she was in the vet office, and she said, "We think this is it." She said, "Do you want me to keep her alive until you get home on Monday?" And I said, "Absolutely not. Do not let that dog suffer 1 second longer."
Mm-hmm.
So she had to put her down. I guess luckily I was distracted with the Arnold. It's a ton of work when we do that cage. You know how it is, Vinny.
Yeah.
So I was distracted that whole weekend. I flew home on Monday morning. I got home. My wife was at work away. And that dog, she was a big French Mastiff, a big presence. And when I walked in the door and she wasn't there, I hit the ground and started crying like a baby.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it was messed up. And then, ironically, when Olympia died, I was working for NutriBio at the time, and we were going to Colombia for a fitness expo. And she had gotten really sick like the day before I was about to leave. And it was like time we had to put her down. And I put off the trip to Colombia a day. I went a day later than I was supposed to because I had to be there. Like I just couldn't not be there for her final moments. So she lives on forever in the paw.
I understand. I was in Budapest when Lola passed away. And at the time, my wife would always say, "All right, so when the time comes and she's sick, you're the one who has to put her down." And that was the plan. And in my head, I've had like maybe 14 dogs my whole life, and I never put a dog down. They always died naturally. That was the odds were.
It's rough.
Yeah. And so while I was away, Lola had this ritual that she would walk around the coffee table, drop her little toy, you tug at it a little bit, throw it in her little bed. She goes into the bed and starts chewing on it. She did that, and my wife said she just had a heart attack and died.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. And I did the same thing. I can get upset now, because they are your children.
Yeah. Like Olympia's gone, but there's a hole in my heart forever. Like, and there's no dog that can replace it. Like you have a different relationship with each dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a unique relationship.
Yeah. And I did the same thing. I went to the vet when I got home, and I was like, "Wake up," because she didn't look dead. She would sleep like she was asleep. I just couldn't grasp that she was gone, Yeah. But, and then a couple of years later, we adopted Savannah, and it was like the wrong time for everything. I went through the New York Bulldog Association.
Awesome.
And, they came, he interviewed me, did background check.
That's a good rescue that does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not all rescues do that. We donate to rescues every single month from our sales. That's our thing.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife Christine will vet them to make sure that they're good rescues, because there are good rescues and there are bad rescues. We're only going to do it with responsible rescues that do things the right way.
Yeah. So they did my whole background check.
Good. People
Came to my house.
Yeah. So
I get Savannah, and Savannah had a lot of issues, but we dealt with them. And then I tore my rotator cuff, and now I'm home.
Surgery, right?
And I couldn't take care of her, and I had to call the rescue up and say, "Look, I have a situation. I had major shoulder surgery. I'm in a sling. It's icy outside. Is there any way we can get someone to, take her in for a period of time?" And they were like, "No, she's your dog." I said, "I understand that, but I have stairs and We found a home for her, but I got banned. They just cut me right off.
Really?
Yeah, I was banned for life for giving it back. You know, I was like, never had anything like that happen to me before. And that was like really like surreal. Like, wow, you're like, I felt like I did something so horrible. And like, I wanted to find the right home for her.
Yeah, you actually did the responsible thing, because we know somebody personally. This is another way we wound up with 4 dogs. A friend of Christine's wanted to adopt a dog from the rescue she was volunteering at, and Christine said, even told the girl, I don't think you're ready. She already had a dog and she had little kids, and she was like, you probably shouldn't take this dog. But the girl took her anyway. 6 months later, she drops her off at the rescue, just shows up, take the dog. And when I went to the rescue with Christine, this dog's in the corner in a cage in the dark crying. I'm like, who's that? And she's like, oh, that's a dog that, what's her name, returned. And I said, we can't let this dog sit here. Like, let's bring her home. And as long as she gets along with Pablo and Aries, we'll keep her. So we brought her home and everything was fine.
Yeah.
And she's a sweet dog. I don't know why she was returned. I don't get it.
Some people just don't get and understand the responsibility of what it takes to take care of a dog.
Yeah.
You know,
it's sad because it happens a lot around this time of the year. A lot of people get dogs for the holidays.
Yeah, wrong reasons.
Realize how much work it is, and then they want to return it. It's a commitment, man.
You know, when I had Lola, it's a funny story. You know, I was used to having a dog that had to go to the bathroom middle of the night or early in the morning, you know, for years.
And it's a typical bodybuilder.
Huh?
It's a typical bodybuilder.
So when we got Lola, this dog wouldn't go to the bathroom until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, how are you holding this in for so long?
Pablo can do that. He's got that crazy ability. It's weird. I take Pablo out a lot, and a lot of times he won't go to the bathroom until he gets home, and he won't poop anywhere else but home. He'll pee somewhere.
Yeah,
has to be home with the poop.
I got to go to work. Come on, we got to go. He's looking at me like, I'm not going down the stairs. So I'm like, all right, let me take the chance and leave her. I'll be back in 2 hours.
Yeah.
He's
never made a mistake in the house?
Never. Maybe the first week.
That's
I think within 10 days I had her out of the cage.
Okay.
You know, I think like I was sitting in the kitchen and we had the cage in the kitchen. We left the gate open and she came out of the gate, crawled into my legs. And then I think she looked, I don't know, I think I left the gate open. She slept that night with the gate open. Mm-hmm. Then the next night she went to sleep in the bed, in her little bed. And then the biggest mistake we made was let her sleep in the bed with us.
I'm a proponent of it. Some people are against it. I love it. It's a little crazy. And we got a 120-pound Mastiff, and he's a monster, and he takes up a lot of room. But
I can imagine.
Wait, Ben, have you seen any of Eric's pictures of all 4 dogs sitting on his couch? And I don't know where Christine and you sit, Eric. You saw the dogs.
Sometimes we don't. Yeah, they take over the house, man.
I mean, that's got like, what's your dog food bill?
It's not cheap, my man, because the big guy eats a lot.
I can imagine.
That's one of the reasons. Like, I would love to feed our dogs fresh food all the time, or what they call raw food.
Yeah,
it's really expensive with 4 dogs, and especially one big one. So that's why I do a mix of kibble and fresh. You know.
Yeah, I did the raw thing for a while.
It's great for them. Look, if you can do it, and you do it the right way, it's very healthy for them.
Well, most people who don't understand nutrition don't understand. Then they think raw is not good for you, but for a canine, it's the best thing for their gut.
It's good, but you can't just. Some people think it's just straight up raw meat, but that's unbalanced. You still have to have other nutrients in there to balance it out.
You have to have everything. Yeah. And if you don't know nutrition, you can go in a bad direction.
Right.
With that. So.
Eric, we have a question. That there's someone, Vinny, Andrea. She goes by Drea here. That's her title on the comments here. She's asking, how do you choose which rescue organization? I mean, what kind of vetting process does Christine do? Yeah. How do you know what's right, what's wrong?
Yeah, she'll look them up. She will make sure she'll call them sometimes. She'll call them as a person who's pretending to adopt and ask all the questions. She knows the right questions to ask. She asks about their vetting process. Do they do home inspections? We'll Google them to see if there have been any, bad press about them or anything like that.
Are there many of them?
Many what?
Rescues.
There's hundreds of them across the country, yeah.
Oh, so she doesn't you're not focusing just on the metropolitan area.
No, I mean, we do a lot of them. We've done New York and New Jersey just because they're local and we can get a video with them. But we're trying to reach out more across the country. We want to reach out and try and help out. We try and pick a different one each month so that we can spread it out, spread out the wealth a little.
Okay. That's really cool, man. It's always good to give back, and you couldn't have picked a better thing to focus on. Pretty cool.
I think, look, if everybody in this world chipped in just a little bit, you don't have to do a tremendous amount, but if everybody chipped in a little, do you think of the power we could all have? And it doesn't have to be dogs. You could pick some other kind of, charitable organization or something, cancer research or something. Just if everybody chipped in a little, the world would be such a better place, man.
Yeah, but that's just never happens, right?
Lee Priest said something interesting that you never think about. If you're going to go adopt a dog, he said, ask first which dogs are on the euthanasia list.
So that's a thing. That's a big difference. Most rescues do not kill dogs. And that's a big difference between rescues and shelters. Now, not all shelters kill dogs. There are no-kill shelters as well. But the majority, 99% of rescues do not kill dogs.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's one of the reasons we work with rescues over shelters.
So a shelter, the turnover rate is quicker because they euthanize them.
Especially the city ones. Like Christine volunteered at the one in Staten Island for a while, the ACC, and unfortunately they put down a lot of dogs.
How long is a dog there? And then euthanize.
I don't know. I don't think it's a set time. I think it depends. If they still have, many dogs coming in, then they have to turn it over quicker. If they don't have as many dogs come in, they can keep, as long as they have the space, they can keep the dog. The dog.
Yeah.
Nah, it's a shame, man. It's a shame.
Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about some of your universal animal stories. Let's get off the negativity here. We talked a lot about dogs. Why adopt a dog, damn it, is the big message here.
Yeah.
Adopt a dog.
Yes, please. Think about it. My time at Universal was great, man. I got to say, probably the best time of my life. Got to travel the world. So many great experiences. Great people. It's a great, great company. They always did things the right way, in my opinion. What I liked about them, both as a consumer and as an employee, is they never, BS'd people. They never overhyped what the supplements could do. In fact, in the early days in Animal, we didn't talk about the supplements at all. The early ads were shut up and train with a black and white photo and a motivational saying. There wasn't a product in the ad. And the people, a lot of the employees at Universal at first resisted it because they thought, that's crazy. You have to talk about the product. And I like that. This is something that I learned and that I'm applying with Paw Power is we didn't just sell products. We gave people knowledge. We gave people information. We gave people motivation. We gave value to the customer. We didn't just sell them pills or powders. And I really like that. And I try to do that with Paw Power. I do a lot, if you see some of my posts, just a lot of stuff about nutrition that doesn't have anything to do with my products. Christine will do posts of her with dog training tips and stuff, how to improve your life with the dog. So I really love that about Universal. In the early days, it wasn't any product. Now they advertise product. I get it. And you have to evolve with the times. But I always felt like they never bullshitted me as a customer. They never overhyped it. And this was back in the day when Muscle Tech had ads that said, this will increase your bench press 300%. I knew right off the bat that's bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I respected them for that kind of honesty with Animal.
We came from a world of we learned a lot through advertising from Bill Phillips and how he put together his advertisements for EAS. And, you'd get all excited waiting for that packet to come in the mail. And you believe the bullshit. You just believe it. And then you turn around here and like you're saying, here's Universal Animal with no information on the supplement, which I think made you more intrigued because of the way the ads captured you.
It got me to go to their website, and on their website, they had these great articles, and they were not about the products. It was about training, motivation, nutrition. I read it for hours. I was like, they got me, man.
Yeah.
They understood me. They understood the mentality of the lifter.
Did I ever tell you a story on how I got to deal with them?
No, go for it. I don't think I ever heard it.
So a couple of years beforehand, I went down to what's that?
Cybergenics?
Yeah. I went down to
they're in New Jersey. You want to know?
No, I got kicked out of their office.
Get out.
I was asked to leave. Yeah.
Before you jump onto that, by the way, Universal used to private label their Cybergenics products. So Universal made the products for them.
They did a lot of companies.
Yes. Gaspari at the beginning made for several companies.
Yeah, I really, I believed in myself, and I went down to Cybergenics, and I said, I'm going to be the next guy in your ad. And they were like, yeah, okay, there's the door. And I was asked to leave. So I did. It didn't discourage me at all. I saw them, I think, at the Suburban like a year later, or one of the shows in Jersey, and Cybergenics had a whole ad advertise booth there. But in the meantime, I went to Universal kind of like you did. Like, I just walked in. I just contacted them through an email,
right,
and didn't wait for a response. I just walked in the door.
I like it.
And I sat with Mike.
Cool.
And Dorian Yates was Mr. Olympia at the time, and I said, I think your customers can relate to me more than they can relate to Dorian Yates. And he's looking at me like, is it crazy? And I'm thinking, like, I just shot myself in the foot. How in the world am I getting a contract with this company now? But like 2 days later, I got a phone call. They agreed to sign me to a year. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe this. And then I was there for 18 years.
That was a great point. You're right. Most people cannot see themselves as Mr. Olympia. They might aspire to it, but they would more relate to you.
Yeah.
That was smart, man.
A couple of months later, now I'm with Universal, and I saw the same girl from the Cybergenics company who kind of laughed at me. And I'm like, oh, I'm at Universal now. And, it was kind of funny going back to seeing that. But it's like, I think you and I have like almost like the same path in a sense, starting out at 1991 and, Richmond County Classic in Staten Island. And we're on the same, we've been friends all these years. We're same companies and, different directions, but, kind of the same road.
Yeah.
But again, Universal too is still, as long as it is, one of the only companies that really had their athletes for long amounts of time. I mean, you brought up Muscle Tech, Eric, and they were dominating, but they were flipping people every 2 years.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Universal is run like, even though it's a big company in the industry, they run like a small family company, and I like that about it. You were treated like family there. It was great. Like I said, a great place to work.
Unfortunately, we'll never see that type of never see that business model again.
Probably right.
We'll never see it again. And we experienced some pretty cool stuff. And I think when I talk to guys in the gym, and I'm sure you do too, when you talk about old school and what we experienced, we're not just talking about how we train or how we approach things, but it's the lifestyle of what we experienced, from the trade shows to traveling around the world to pushing products and learning and meeting celebrities, and the things that we experienced can't be replaced by turning your phone on.
I agree. I agree. Social media to me is a double-edged sword. It's good and bad.
Absolutely.
I like it. I'm on social media a lot. I like it, but I'm also glad that I didn't grow up with it. I think I would have had a different view of the world, and I'm glad it wasn't around when I was a kid or a teenager.
Well, it wasn't around, and we learned bodybuilding from magazines.
Yeah,
and
well, the big guy in the gym would tell you, do something.
No, but just think about your story of wanting to go to the Richmond County Classic, and I'll compete in it because Lee Haney is going to be
dying to meet him.
But you only saw him in a magazine.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't see him in person.
You're right.
You didn't see a video of him like two or three times a day posting, leg extensions and heavy squats and bench pressing and, screaming at Mike Christian or Rich Gaspari. And you didn't see that because it didn't exist.
I remember calling. You had to call a 900 number to get the results of the Mr. Olympia.
Oh, yeah.
If you didn't want to wait a month for the magazine.
That's crazy, right?
I remember that.
Can you imagine today, like thinking about, literally thinking, okay, you watch the Olympia today and within a couple of minutes, you know who the top 5 are.
Yeah, you get live footage. Somebody's doing it
live.
You know, it's crazy.
Back when we were doing it,
yeah. You have to wait 2 months to get the magazine to see the pictures. What the guys look like.
Yep.
It's crazy time.
Crazy different times, but they were all good that we experienced them.
So Vin, you were on TV at The Bachelor, right?
Yeah. Well, I got to look. I was like the camera passed me.
All right, you were there. Yeah. That's cool.
I was dancing. I looked like a fire hydrant. I could pose, but I can't dance.
I wanted to ask you, did you like have to sign a waiver and stuff?
Yeah, we signed an NDA. I think it was an NDA. Right. I think I broke it though.
On the podcast.
Yeah. But it was a great experience, man. Just to think my sister out of 30,000 women.
Wild.
Yeah, 22 get picked, and to blow, mind-boggling to think now she won, and
Jerry's the guy, right? That's his name.
Yes, Gary. Yeah,
he's got a dog. I think I saw. Is that right?
Yes, he has a dog.
Okay.
He drove from Indiana to Jersey last week, and I think he went home for a little bit. But yeah, he's got a dog, and
I'd be happy to send him a little Paw Power care package.
All right. I'll give you my address, send it to me, and I'll get it to them.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. So it was cool. It was an experience.
Did you get to see a lot of behind the scenes stuff? I
saw everything. I was hanging out with the current Bachelor, Joey. Did a shot with him.
Cool.
And drank a little bit, had some fun, and I can't remember the guy's name who had the hat on that proposed to his girl. Had a few drinks with him. Cool. Hung out with those guys. They were calling me Uncle Vinny.
Nice. And that was down in Florida?
No, it was in Palm Springs, California.
Oh, California. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And it was a great opportunity to travel with my whole family.
Yeah.
And then you find out what family members you don't want to travel with.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to travel at all.
And they're probably thinking that of me too. So.
Did you bring your food with you?
I was thinking of doing that because I was like, I'm eating good. Let me pack everything. At the last minute, I was like, nah, screw this. I'm not going to do it. I'll just eat whatever's there.
Good call, man.
Yeah, I wanted to relax and enjoy myself. My nephew, Nicky, and I hit a gym out there.
Good.
Trained.
Good. Yeah. I just started training with my nephew. He's into it. He's 20, I think, 19 or 20, and he's into it. And every couple of weeks we go hit a different gym and work out once in a while.
Nice.
Yeah. What's that?
Planet Fitness?
No.
Planet Fitness?
No.
So do you guys, let's change the subject a little bit. Do you guys ever watch anything by Joe Rogan?
I just see the clips online, the short clips.
So I just bought this from, it was advertised, the hydrogenated water bottle.
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome. If you want to,
what does it do?
So you turn the light on, and then you start to see the smoke come up. It's really putting the hydrogen. Let me see. It hydrogenates the water.
Okay. Yeah, there it goes.
And you can actually feel the difference of being hydrated.
Really?
Yeah, I sleep better.
Okay.
Recovery's better in the gym, and especially if I drink this whole thing. If I drink this, if I down it right before a workout and then sip on it as I'm working out, you can actually feel a better pump. So I highly recommend it. I've been drinking this for like a month now.
Interesting.
You can see the water's turning.
Yeah.
Does it do something with the pH, Vinny? Or do you know about the pH and stuff? Like, does it make it more alkaline?
It makes it more alkaline, yeah.
Okay.
I wish I could explain a little bit better, but I'm just so excited about drinking this thing.
Interesting.
It makes the water level.
Cool.
You just made Joe Rogan $4 by buying that. Thank you.
$3.99. It was $80-something.
Wow.
Look at you lose it. I drink a lot of water.
That's some fancy water, bro.
Smurf water.
I'm drinking. I grew up on Staten Island Tap.
This is Mawa water.
Our kids will never know drinking out of a hose out of the side of the house.
Fire hose,
all the vitamins and minerals from that.
Yeah, like iron. You got lots of iron out of that, I'm sure.
You don't need to brush your teeth.
So let's talk about you for a minute, because I know obviously you're in your 50s now, and you and I've been friends for years. We work out together, and I always thought you looked good. But you've been kind of leaning up a little bit. You just kind of fit for 50. You kind of doing that mentality, or talk to me about that.
The mentality is something that Scotty touched upon on your last podcast. Is just like longevity and quality of life. And I think as we get older, I think it's smarter to be leaner. I think it's better for your health.
Absolutely.
And I'm just thinking about quality of life. Unfortunately, I saw my father's quality of life deteriorate. He had Parkinson's and dementia, and that really put things in perspective for me. And his quality of life was rough at the end. And I want to extend. I don't necessarily want to live long, but I want to live a good quality of life. So that's taken precedence. I still train every day. I still squat, bench, and deadlift, not as heavy as I used to. I would like to one day probably go back and do a powerlifting meet. But to me now, right now, the focus is being healthy and the healthiest version of myself as I could be.
You know, Sean, to go back a little bit, I owe a huge thanks to Eric. You know, Skiba, our friend Skiba, Andre Skiba, you know, always said to me, hey, I would love to train you for a powerlifting meet. And, you know, one day you got to come down and train. And I called Eric and I said, I think it's time. I'm going to do a meet. And we would meet every Sunday. And I knew nothing about powerlifting. You know, it's a whole different animal.
I didn't really either until I met Skiba. He's the one who really taught me too.
Yeah, but I was comfortable going because you kind of paved the way for me, because you were doing it for a little while before I got there. And, you know, and people always say to me, like, what's the big deal? You're lifting weights. Isn't it the same? Like, it's not even close to being.
It's very different.
Very different. Because as a bodybuilder, you're thinking of a weight and doing reps and getting a pump. And as a powerlifter, you're thinking of percentage and building upon that percentage, having to
for powerlifting, you don't want to go to failure where you do with bodybuilding. So it's a different mentality. Yeah,
I couldn't ever think of the concept of putting 500 pounds on my back. I'm like, I was scared of that. You know, like to say, okay, you can do 315 for 5, and we're going to work on that and go to 365, 405, and then the weights were just flying up. And I remember Skiba getting annoyed with me because I wouldn't go any heavier. Because I was scared.
I think you left some pounds on the platform that you could have gone.
Absolutely. I know I did. But I also knew.
Well, it's smart to play conservative. I mean, you are a professional bodybuilder, so it is smart.
Well, I was retired at the time, and I thought I would never compete again. But I wanted to get back to some grassroots in a sense. And I loved going to Skiba's on Wednesdays and Sundays because it was literally just all about training. And the camaraderie of what I learned in the early 80s and 90s it has gone today. It's just completely gone. So to go to Skiba's at the time with you and Greg sometimes and all the other guys, and I can't think of his name right now, who recently passed away. You know what I'm talking about.
Was it Andre's mentor, the older gentleman?
No, he was our age-ish. He used to come with his wife all the time. Eric.
Yeah, Big Eric. Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, Big Eric.
Viking. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, you know, that camaraderie, man, was like so cool and just like it regenerated my love for lifting weights, because I was at a point where it's like, I hate this shit. Yeah. I hate the gym. I don't like going to the gym anymore. The people suck, and there's no camaraderie. You can't break balls. Everyone's so sensitive. And you go down to Skiba's and, oh my God, you get abused left and right. And
he still has that. He's got a Saturday crew, a Sunday crew.
Yeah. I try that now, and guys look at me like, you're an asshole. I'm like, I'm just trying to piss you off so you can lift more weight, not be pissed off at me.
Vin, did you enjoy the process of preparing for a powerlifting meet?
I did. And a year later, after it was all over, I then tore my shoulders, and I wouldn't attempt doing that again. I wish, and I'm grateful that. So let me say this: it was kind of a weird dynamic. Like, what I learned in powerlifting was completely different than bodybuilding, and I applied that powerlifting knowledge to my comeback. Just coming back from rotator cuff surgery. It wasn't about bodybuilding. I didn't even think about bodybuilding.
Right.
And thinking of that 5 rep range, 3 rep range, 1 rep range, where I'm literally taking a 5-pound dumbbell and trying to press it over my head,
Right.
and I can't even get one until I got 5. And then I went to a 7-pound dumbbell and I got 3 reps. And if I didn't learn that, I would have tried to do 12 reps.
Right.
And maybe it tore my shoulder. Or I would have been so discouraged, I probably would still not be in the gym today. And have 8 Masters Pro wins under my belt, because it rekindled my love for training and wanting to prove that. Because everyone was saying, oh, in your 50s, you can't improve. And I was like, F you, I'm going to show you that I can.
Yeah.
And
it's all mentality.
It's all mentality. Because I don't think anybody was, nobody was really doing it. Like the things that Tom Brady did, nobody was doing.
Right.
And now you'll start seeing more Tom Brady's as the years go on, because they're going to start, oh, a guy close to 50 can do that.
Yeah.
You
can still train very hard in your 50s and 60s. Biggest difference to me is it takes longer to warm up and longer to recover. But as long as you pay attention to those things, I think you can train very hard.
Yeah. And again, I'm always evolving and trying to change my workouts. And over the last 2 weeks now, I never did it because I never believed in it. But I changed where now I'm doing hamstrings on one day and quads on another. And I'm doing lats on one day with rear delts and like rowing and deadlifts on another day. And I kind of got that from Scott.
Okay.
I always think like, people think like because you have this title or you have this success that you don't need to learn anymore. And this is an evolving sport. You're always learning, always trying to, better yourself and learn from people who I have no shame. So I don't have an issue, ever have had an issue in saying I don't know and ask.
That's a great attitude, man.
The only thing that I regret right now is I tried way too hard for the Masters Olympia last year, and it backfired on me. So I knew I was going to get crushed against guys who had size. So I thought, let me come in even more conditioned. And it just, I came in dead last. I couldn't compete with those guys on any level, in any aspect of it. I came in way too flat and too small. And I should have came in the way I was looking like a week before. Right. But I said, let me try to come in even tighter. And it didn't. I hope, I'm hearing rumors right now that Dan Solomon is trying to, who's the promoter,
right,
of the promoter of the Olympia, that he's trying to not have them wait for 25 for the Olympia, but have it this year.
Cool.
And it might be a qualifier now. And all of a sudden I see on the IFBB schedule, now they just added Masters to the Toronto Pro, which never had it.
Oh, nice.
And there's all these other master shows. There's a lot of master shows now. So from what I'm understanding is there might be a qualifier now for the Olympia if they have it. And if I can get that second chance, I won't blow it this time.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll see.
It was smart. They wrap it around the Olympia weekend. Someone or other just throwing that extra event like on a Sunday afternoon or something, make it a whole weekend event.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. If I have a second chance, I hope I do, and that'll be awesome. Like you said, Eric, you gotta warm up longer when you're a little older now. And there are guys like our friend Jimmy, who used to come around the cage. He's won a couple of master shows now. This dude is pushing massive weight, and he's 55 years old.
Yeah.
I'm scratching my head like, how is he doing that? Because I couldn't do it. I got to figure out how to stimulate the muscle a different way.
Right.
I was never one to handle heavy weight anyway, but now I'm older and my strength has declined a great deal. It is what it is, but
I'm going to turn the spotlight onto Sean for a second, because you started to do a prep. I know you had an injury.
Yep.
Will that happen again? Will you, or what? Are you going to plan to do another show or what?
I am, but I'm reassessing the type of show I'm going to do.
Okay.
I might have to scale down the board shorts.
Oof, podcast over.
Yeah. We're done here, Sean. You're gone. I'm gonna get somebody.
So I'll share some confidence because you guys haven't seen me with shorts on. So years ago, I tore both my hamstrings. Okay,
Shit.
Never had them looked at, and just had them heal on my own.
Right.
So my one, if I flex, it looks like a ball, like a little ball, where it didn't insert back above the knee, and the other one is a clean insertion. so it looks like just a hodgepodge Frankenstein from the rear.
So
I
look,
can't overcome that.
Let me just say this. Okay, so with having 14 screws throughout both my shoulders, I'm in severe pain trying to do a front double bicep. I have to go through a lot of rehab work. Even to this day, I do things all the time to keep my mobility and stability and flexibility and everything, all the abilities that I need to get my hands over my head. My right hamstring is torn. My left bicep is torn. And the only thing that you have to worry about is coming in with the best conditioning that you can present. Because at the end of the day, you're not going into, and I'm not trying to be funny right now, you're not going into the Olympia. You're going into a local contest in a master's division where probably every other guy your age has some fucked up body part, right? You're not the only one. So if you put excuses on it, it's not gonna. You're not gonna feel it here. You're gonna hurt yourself here when you're sitting on a couch in 10 years going, I should have done it. You know, I went the board shorts way. And that's fine if you want to do that. But I really think that you can compete in either classic or bodybuilding, but you have to commit 1,000,000%, be consistent with everything, ignore what's wrong. Look, my left bicep is torn, and I've had to figure out angles on twisting and stuff to make it look like it's not torn, not to make it like it's a sore spot. So you get the right person to teach you how to pose, you'll be fine. Ignore all that bullshit.
Fair enough. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're going to do fine. Don't think of it as a negative, like I have this against me. You're preaching to the choir here, man. I had 14 fucking screws throughout my shoulders. So
crazy.
You're going to be fine. And if, like, I went through all of that, did the Masters Baltimore Pro in 17 and took dead last. I went back in 18 and took dead last.
Oh, no, but then you won it after the year after that.
Then I won 8 pro shows after that.
Yeah.
But if you could think of how fucking embarrassed I was to go back to the gym after 2 years in a row, and then I told you the story, 3 coaches turned me down. They wanted nothing to do with me. And if you just have that belief system, man.
That's a good life lesson, Vin, because when times get tough, you have to learn how to grind through things and just stay the course sometimes.
Because there's no one coming to help you.
Exactly right. No one's coming to save you.
No one's coming to save you. Consistency outplays motivation and discipline and all that stuff. You have to be consistent because consistency will develop discipline. And then you develop that discipline, and now you start getting motivated because you see results. You don't get motivated. People are motivated all the time. I'm motivated. But then they don't have any discipline. And they're not consistent with it. Doing all 3 work at the same time.
Yeah. You're right. A lot of people give up too easy.
Don't give up too easy. I've seen pictures of you, and then in the past I said you're in that direction. I wouldn't squash that dream yet.
Okay, it's not that I'm training legs anymore. I haven't given up and say that's it. Legs are out the window. But I see what you're saying, but I appreciate it.
Talking about legs, my left knee for the longest time was bone on bone, and I didn't know what was going on. Now I'm healthy again because I had the exosome therapy and the stem cells injected into my knee, and I can squat just like I used to squat. I don't have any pain. But for the longest time, I was telling you, I took a page from Evan Centopani where I learned to do the Bulgarian split squat from him.
Those are brutal.
They're brutal. And when you add dumbbells up to 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and you're doing low reps on those things, your legs are going to grow.
I thought for the longest time that was like a girl exercise.
Oh, I said that. I said, that's a...
And then I tried it, and it trashed me more than squats trashed me.
Yeah. I can't do them every leg workout. I got to do them every other quad day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a brutal exercise. But you could do it. You can if you just get your head straight and go, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have the right people in my corner.
Yeah.
And talk with, execute yourself with confidence, and you can be fine.
I think you got to see it through, Sean, just for yourself. Just make the commitment and do it and go through the process. And I think you need to do that for yourself.
Yeah. And on that note.
Well, hold on. One last question as we wind down here. I set Eric up on text. Okay, you got to give us the top 3 Arnold choices before we get off the air here.
Okay. So, as you and I discussed, it's probably a 2-man show, right? It's probably Hadi and Samson for 1 and 2. You know, you can flip flop them. I would go with Samson, but it's subjective. But I got a guy who I think can crack the top 3 here, who's probably not one of the favorites.
You got a guy
going in. I got a guy. I might be a little biased. I met him years ago. He's very nice. You know, I know a lot of these guys. Antoine's on the list. I hope Antoine does great. But the guy I think that's going to crack the top 3 is James Hollingshead from the UK. He's made some tremendous improvements in his physique, and I think he's going to crack it.
Dave Palumbo just recently said that Nick Walker might jump in.
Well, that would change everything.
Nick's not doing it.
Okay.
He's not doing it?
No, he's not going to do it. He's still ginger on his hamstring.
And what about the Nexzilla guy? What's his name?
He might not be able to get to the country. I saw something the other day.
Visa issues.
Yeah.
What do you think of him, though, Vin? You've seen him. Is he kind of a hodgepodge of parts, or what do you think here? His legs are ridiculous, and you've seen him, obviously.
No, he's ridiculous. The size of this guy, it's literally a cartoon. You draw that. Like, you draw that on paper.
Yeah.
However, I think when you stick him next to seasoned guys like a Nick Walker, like a Samson, you're going to see flaws on a guy like that. You know, I don't think he's quite there. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe somebody out there saying, Vin, you're nuts right now.
I think he's more of a freak factor, you know. But I haven't seen him in person, so it's hard to tell. It's really, bodybuilding is such a different game in person. It's a 3-dimensional sport, so it's hard to, you know, view it through a video or pictures and stuff, you know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. And Eric, you might be right. I mean, Hollingshead's working with Milos. I don't know if he's going to break top 3, but I'm going to say top 6. But anyway.
Okay. I'm saying it here, top 3.
All right, cool.
James.
And where can people get in touch with you, Eric?
You can follow Paw Power Nutrition if you want, or I'm on Instagram at _Eric_Schwartz. Facebook, you can find me. I'm on TikTok. I've been trying to do some supplement reviews on TikTok and Instagram. Just figured I'd give back to consumers, you know, help them make some informed choices on products that they're buying.
All right, cool.
And then pawpowernutrition.com, correct?
pawpowernutrition.com.
Yep. And if you use code SUPTALK, all capital with 15, you get 15% off your order.
There you go. Look at that. We just made a commercial.
Well, thanks again, Eric, for coming on.
Thank you, guys. I greatly appreciate the time. Love talking to you guys. It's just like hanging out. That's cool.
You're welcome. Maybe we got to get you and I'm having a brain fart here.
Chris?
Who?
Chris? I don't know. Who you thinking?
Scott.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great.
Have you two on?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. I love Scotty, man.
Yeah. Scott, he's like the brainiac.
Yep.
Yeah.
I bounce a lot of ideas off that guy.
Oh, absolutely. And we could do a podcast on that. Just picking his brain and how I think we've evolved as people and bodybuilders and, you know, competitive individuals in what we do. Things we've learned from Scott.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a great guy. I really like him. I love him. So again, thank you. And in 2 weeks, we don't have anybody for next week, but in 2 weeks we have Anna from the Golden Bachelor. She's a nutritionist, and I thought having a woman on to talk about the needs women need. My mouth's getting dry. I got to get hydrated here. So
turn your blue light on.
It's a commercial for the hydration.
Yeah. Joe Rogan.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks, Vin.
You're welcome. Yeah, so Anna's going to be on in 2 weeks.
Cool.
And I just figured that it would be a great interview on what the needs would. Oh my God, I can't even say that.
Women's needs.
Nutritionally speaking,
there you go.
What women need as far as protein and carbs go and all that stuff. So she'll be on in 2 weeks, and we're looking forward to that.
Cool. So I'll be watching.
Vin, just worry about your hair and have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Take care.
Guys.
Bye.
Eric, if you want to stay on.